Hey there, welcome to episode 13 of the Buy Me an Update audio program, Microcast. Micro. I'm your host, Dan Hugo, recording this on the morning of, it's about 6:47 a.m., in fact, on the morning of February 17, 2025. Let's get into it really quick. We got to keep it micro. Consequences ahead, the title of today's episode. What could that mean? The show notes for today's episode summary. If you are watching, listening to, or reading the news of the day every day, you may be asking yourself whether there will be consequences down the road for all of the shenanigans. The answer is yes, but let's talk about something else. I don't really get into politics in my existing 4 audio programs. But we do have a sort of a responsibility, I think, to be aware and wary. And fruitful conversations, I think, are valid. Overly advocating biased, other such things. I don't know about that. Anyway, the links are one for today's episode. My other coffee location, ko-fi.com/danhugo. That's ko-fi.com/danhugo for textual updates. And I don't know about other things, but you found this micro update. So you're halfway there. Last week, we talked about the need for open government in the Let's Innovate for Vegas audio program, open government based on open data, so that there is more transparency for the governed. And believe it or not, there actually is an open data program that the government has been driving per an act in, I think it was 2017. I think I linked to it in the audio program, so give it a listen. The governed, that's us. So we should be aware of what's going on more so than we have been, clearly. We really can't rely on someone just telling us about fraud, waste, and abuse. And then, trust me, a lot of this data is sort of available, but we can make that more so, I hope. Quaggling Sand was about public speaking and how participating in open microphone events, open mics, is a great way to get over any fears you might have. And I talk about my some of my worst public speaking engagements. And then it's gotten much better, I think. FFS Talk was about the response to the notion of the day, usually by companies or other entities. And I use the Google Calendar example scenario as a reasonably visible and fairly innocuous when you get right down to it. Kind of an overreaction on the part of the public. And the Google response was vastly understated. So it's kind of an interesting impact on crowd wisdom. That is a part of the Crowd Wisdom sort of mini-series that hopefully will be coming to an end this week with part 2. Cafe Genius Impresarios was about our communication culture here in Greater Vegas, and that it needs some work. That is also an understatement. Ghosting is real. We live in a ghost town here. Very, very frustrating, actually. So up ahead, I mentioned in last week's Buy Me an Update decisions. I have decided to dial back the amount of time I am spending on Innovate for Vegas Foundation so I can pursue some of the other things I have been wanting to pursue. It doesn't mean it's going away. It's not really on hiatus. Just less time until we can build some interest in civic volunteerism, a particularly big challenge here in the Greater Vegas area, but also from my reading, it's not exactly, they're not exactly turning away people around the country when it comes to civic volunteerism. And I think there may be some resurgence or room for resurgence if we all start to sort of see the value of individual contribution to our infrastructure, our systems, being more aware, people around us being more aware, and so on. What that exactly means remains to be seen. Not giving up, but not. We do only have so many hours in the day. Audio programs like Let's Innovate for Vegas audio program will continue as usual. Coming up against that 5-minute limit, so I'll simply say have a good week. Hopefully February ends on a high note, and hopefully you are doing fine. Bye-bye.